to Chicago, where the fire serve cold, but the Wolves and the Hawks never shiver in the snow. The Bulls keep it running, the Sox run the South, the Cubs run the North, but the Bears run the house. True Chicago sports fans got their ears to the street. Any team make a move and they never skip a beat. And in this house, this is where we be. Welcome to the show with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Welcome to Chicago from the True Chicago Sports Fan Cave. This is the TCSF Podcast with your hosts E-Roc and Big-Z.
Yeah.
Episode 24 is brought to you by Noir, Ceasar, Villain Radio Studios, and Grit Clothing Company.
That's right.
As always, I am Big-Z, and I'm here with E-Roc. What up, E?
What's going on, Z?
Hey, I got a couple surprises for you again.
Yeah, brother. We got another action-packed show today.
Yes, we do.
We got a lot to talk about today with a victory over the Minnesota Vikings.
The Vikings.
No. We don't do that here. Vikings. We say your name. If I don't say the Chicago White Sox and you see this Cubs, that's how we do. You know what I mean? Let's stay honest here.
All right. So the Vikings took the L today.
They did take an L. Let's if we're gonna talk bad about them, talk about what they did and did not do. And what they did not do today was win against our Chicago Bears.
Yeah, Trubisky looked pretty good today, man.
He did, man.
Yeah.
So we got that. We're going to talk to our boy, Il Brown. We're going to break down this Chicago Bears victory today for once. We're going to talk about a couple of losses today, too, though.
That is right. So I can't wait to get into the Bear talk. So we're going to give a couple of discussions, a couple of arguments. We don't always see eye to eye at this.
Yeah, we got a special guest coming up today. We have Mikey-O, Chicago's very own comedian. He's going to talk to us about growing up in Chicago, his Chicago comedy roots, and a couple other things that he's got going on.
Man, I can't wait to talk to him. But first, this is The Loop, our Chicago sports roundup where we keep you in the loop.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
So, E, what's going on the north side of town, brother?
There's not a whole ton. I mean, we're hearing that the Cubs signed free agent reliever Jonathan Holder.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, this is like Garrett Temple when he joined the Bulls. It's not a big name.
No, it's not.
We're hearing the Cubs, quote unquote, have great plans for Chris Bryant. We're hearing a lot of things about him being moved around. I don't know. I mean, I think
it's a lot of smoke and no fire right now.
The big thing is that we heard that the Nationals were interested in it. Their coach David Martinez talked about being interested in it, and then their
GM said no.
Mike Rizzo was like, "No, what are you doing? Don't do that." So I think he kind of came in and cleaned it up. Says, "Hey, stop. Basically, hey Davey, stop putting our business out there."
Well, you don't want to show your hand.
No, and then that's exactly right. So the Cubs don't want to show their hand. The Nationals don't want to show their hand because if you seem overly eager, then you're going to ask for a lot more than what you're worth. You know what I mean? So that
and the White Sox already fleeced the Nationals.
That is true. That is true. So I mean, but yeah, you're hearing a lot about what's going on with Chris Bryant. I mean, are they going to keep him? Are they going to move him? I mean, I think we have enough time before the beginning of the season to see what's going on with him. But it'll be interesting. I'd like to see him stay on the north side, but I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen and what they can actually get back for him.
To be honest with you, I would love to see Chris Bryant on the north side till he rides out his career. Now, if you get a haul,
well, you have to go for it.
Then you go for it.
You have to take if you feel like number one, if you're at the very least getting what he's worth, you take that immediately because it's very, very, very hard to get what a player's actually worth.
If you can get what we got for Adam Eaton, sell him now.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there. Scott Boras came out and said that when you talk about players, when you talk to players about their performance, you just really have a lot to focus on, where they're at, what they're doing. We had a long meeting conversation with Chris, and he's been working hard. He looks great. He's really preparing to be a Chicago Cub.
Of course, he's gonna sell his player.
Boras is always gonna sit there and gas up his players no matter what.
That's how you get paid.
That's exactly right, and we know what we're seeing. So I mean, like, I think as Chicago fans, we'd like to see KB, but again, we're also stuck to this romantic idea about like whoever was on our championship team needs to stay here forever.
Right, and at some point, you've got to let go of those feelings and think what's best for the future of your team. I mean, and the future of your team need some young players. You need more depth in the minor league system.
They definitely need more depth, but I also don't want to see them get fleeced or get rid of a player of his caliber.
They won't get fleeced.
Regardless of how you think he is in MLB right now.
Yeah.
he's still an important player and he's still a good player, and you don't want to see them let go of him the way they did with Schwarber.
I see a sign-in trade. That's what I see.
I think that's a good idea.
That way you get more back from.
Because at least you'll have serviceable players that are coming back, and you can kind of figure it out from there.
Correct.
What's going on the south side, man?
On the south side, ESPN noted that the White Sox will open the baseball season. Thank you. The schedule. Yeah, it'll be a Sunday night baseball game, April 4th, with Los Angeles Angels and the Chicago White Sox. So it's our turn to open the season. Yeah, you've opened the season a couple years so far with the Cubs, and very, I want to say, earned. I want to say I was looking for the word. Okay, you guys earned it.
Okay, there's a reason why Cubs open the season a lot. Is because people like us. I mean, people
agree.
And here's the thing: people also
they're
hate
nation.
us.
Yeah.
So people want to see the Cubs.
It's like the Yankees, the Cubs. Exactly.
Right. So what's happening Dodgers, right now is that they're giving the White Sox a shot to get some of that national spotlight, get some shine. Seeing and it's a big story because you got La Russa there now. La Embarrassment.
La Embarrassment's getting his shot. Yeah, on ESPN, and also. One of the best players in MLB is going to get to shine because they don't get a lot of national spotlight.
Yeah, and that's true. And so you're going to look at, especially with the way that
Trout.
Well, you got Mike Trout on the Angels, but you're also going to see a lot of Abreu. You're going to hear about all his accolades, all his IBEW bowling trophies, and all the stuff that you mentioned last show.
Former bowler, yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of stuff about Abreu, which is well deserved because yes, he was the AL MVP, the Hank Aaron Award winner, so on and so forth, the Gold Glove winner, I think, Silver Slugger. So he's got some awards. So he does bring some star power, and I think what's happening right now is. Whether it's because they brought in La Russa or because Reinsdorf has that type of influence, the hope is that you're sitting there and talking about bringing some star power to that opening day for Sunday Night Baseball.
Agreed, and they also rescheduled the Yankees-Sox game.
Yeah,
the Field of Dreams back in for August.
I was excited about that.
I was excited too. I wanted to drive out to Iowa. I mean, this is the only reason you want to drive to Iowa.
We can do a show trip.
Hey.
It's the only reason to drive to Iowa. You're not wrong.
Our producer's smiling.
I think we'll drive past his alma mater.
But one rule: he cannot wear a Yankees hat.
No, absolutely not.
Cannot wear a Yankees hat.
Has anybody ever seen me in a Yankees hat?
No, but you're a Cubs fan, so
but you're
make sure you're not a hater.
But you're a Cubs fan.
Well, I would not.
What's going on with the West Side, bro?
On the west side of town, the Bulls finished their shortened preseason with a 2-2 record. Mm-hmm. They look good and they look bad.
They came back. Look, they beat the heck out of OKC in that third preseason game, and they were down by a lot in the fourth preseason game, and then they came back to win. So the one name that I forgot that was on OKC from the last playoffs was I think his name is Luke Dort, D-O-T-R. One of the funniest names I've ever heard in my life. It's hilarious. Luke Dort. I'm like, wait a minute.
Who is that dork?
Yeah, but he's a strong kid. He looks like a running back out there playing basketball for OKC. Mike Logic was all in his feelings about this Dort guy, but
Mike Logic gets in feelings about a lot of players.
Every single NBA player. Yeah. So if you think he only loves LeBron, he loves everybody. But Bulls came back. Simi, the kid that they just signed. He had a great fourth quarter. I mean, he looked really good out there. I mean, he looked slick. So I mean, I'm hoping this is a guy that they can get off of.
He got cut
off the bench.
He got cut.
They cut him already.
They cut him.
Good Lord, that was quick.
That was quick. Yeah, the Bulls bench is still an unknown problem, project, puzzle, whatever you want to call it. Let's see what else we got. Satoransky is still away from the team. Devin Dotson still unknown when and why he isn't back. Valentine and Temple should be back pretty soon. Yeah. Thaddeus Young is improving from his leg infection. And then we also got the debate between Porter and Williams.
So you got so that's the big thing is Otto Porter Jr. who looks decent coming on starting the game, and then you got the rookie Pat Williams. Now here's the thing. OPJ moves the way I do, like a 39-year-old with arthritis and a hip replacement. Okay,
it's like watching molasses drop.
It's terrible, but this guy looks like the best player on the YMCA Rec League. Like, he's so slow, but he can pop the shot. It's terrible. And then you got Pat Williams comes in, and he looks like a professional. He looks like he's very smooth. He's polished. I mean, he just like any other rookie that comes into the NBA, is going to need some training and some motivation, whatever you want to call it, to get him up to speed to be a true NBA star. And what was I telling you the other night when we were talking about the Bulls? When we were talking about who's going to win the East?
Oh, yeah, we were talking about who's going to win the East, and I said the Bulls can be a 4 or 5 seed. But you got Miami, you've got Brooklyn, you've got Giannis in Milwaukee, you got Jimmy Buckets in Miami, you got
Sixers,
Philadelphia,
you got
and the
Sixers,
Seas,
you got
right?
Boston.
Yeah, you got.
Now here's the thing. You look at the West, you got Lakers, you got Portland.
Jesus, it's stacked.
You got the Rockets. Yeah,
Phoenix.
The Suns have a decent team.
Right.
But when it really comes down to it, what's going to happen, and my prediction for this season is that you're going to sit there and look at another 500 team and hope and pray that they get up to 500 because they got players in peace. They have pieces in place, okay?
Right.
Kobe White doesn't look that comfortable trying to run the court yet. Zach LaVine is immensely talented when it comes to his physical ability, but his actual basketball IQ is low, in my opinion.
Okay.
Marketing has never really been developed.
Market looks lost.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks lost.
I'm hoping with Billy Donovan. I'm hoping that Billy Donovan can really sit there and boost up this kid and get him to where he needs to be. But really,
if there's a coach out there that's going to fix this team, it's going to be Billy Donovan.
That's the hope.
He's a player's coach. He will develop these players to do their best that they can. So if anybody's going to develop marketing, it's going to be Billy Donovan. Right.
So here's the thing. So now the big debate is whether you're talking about Pat Williams, you're talking about OPJ.
Yeah.
Now I think what the smart thing to do would be play Porter as a starter, bring in Williams after on the bench.
Kind of what they did with
what they do with every player.
Yeah.
But here's the main thing, and this is what I will tell you, and this is what I'll tell all our listeners so you can really pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Unless Pat Williams ends up being a superstar, because we're looking at Zach LaVine as a 1A, we're looking at Kobe White to see what in the world he can do. The point is that unless Pat Williams turns out to be a superstar, we're stuck in limbo and we're just running in quicksand again. Because you're going to end up with a bunch of decent-looking tryhards. You're going to end up with, you guys are calling him Luol Deng Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Pat Williams turns into a superstar, all this is another drive to get another mid-round pick. It's not going to do you any good.
So you're saying you're not here for the dang bang?
This is what I'm telling you is that I will enjoy Bulls basketball for what it's worth, but I don't unless Pat Williams at the number 1 or the number 4 overall pick in the draft turns into a superstar. We're just watching the same thing we've watched for the past 20 years since Jordan left.
But at the same time, you've got a new coach, and he's got to develop them by giving them minutes.
And that's my point.
You've got to let them swim in the deep end with all these great NBA players and see what they can do. Because if they can't hold their own, guess what? You got to ship them out.
So my question to you is this. To start the season, do you start Porter or do you start Williams?
You start Porter.
Right. You start Porter because he's an established vet and you're paying him a ton of money.
Exactly.
Now, you just wait till the 4th game of the season when he's injured for the rest of the year and then you put in Williams.
Exactly
because
my thought.
That is what's going to happen. You see a guy, like I said, he runs the way I do, and I do not run very well. I'm one of those dudes if I catch you, you're in trouble, but you can run away from me very easily.
You're like Jason in a horror movie.
You know what I mean? So, look, I'm really, really hoping that Pat Williams turns out to be a superstar. I think this is kind of the wait and see year. This is his Jimmy Butler coming out party because that's what happened with Jimmy. We didn't know what we were going to get out of him.
Jimmy took about 2 to 3 years to develop them.
But look what he's done. Every single year that
definitely.
Jimmy Butler has been in the league, he's developed more and more and more, which is a rare case. So you're looking, and that happened at a 29th overall pick.
Right.
So this is a number 4 overall pick. Make it count.
Yeah. What's going on with Northwestern? What happened with those boys in purple?
All right. Do we have to talk about? All right. Look.
No, we do. It was actually a good, exciting game.
Yes, Northwestern.
They were in the game most of the game.
Northwestern made it to the Big Ten championship game, and that is the end of the story because we know what happened. So anyway, Northwestern made it to the Big Ten championship game. They were doing well. They were actually up early in the game. They were up 7-3 after the first, and they were up 10-6 at halftime.
Here's the issue. It looked like the early Bears where they drove down the field, got to the 20-yard line, and just stalled. Just stalled. And couldn't get a field goal, couldn't get a score. And when you're playing the big boys, when you're playing Ohio State, that's not going to be enough.
So now here's the thing. Northwestern had a phenomenal interception to end the first half.
Oh my God!
I mean, the kid stuck his arm out there. It looked like Odell Beckham playing
right?
defense. I mean, it was a great, unbelievable catch, and they were able to go into halftime with the lead. And when it came out of halftime, they really didn't do much because they didn't score again.
Nope.
And they gave up too many points. They gave up 7 in the third quarter and 9 in the fourth, and they ended up losing 22-10.
It was actually a fun game to watch. It was exciting. It was. I don't know what to say. Like,
it was actually. We could have looked at it one of two ways. We could look at it like, oh, we should be happy to be here, or oh, they're going to get blown out.
They didn't get blown out.
And they didn't get blown out, realistically. You're talking about, it stayed a tight game, at least through the first half, but it would have seemed like Fitzgerald and his crew did not adjust to what they saw because and it's hard to do if you're playing ahead, especially in college football. We're doing well. Let's not change anything. We're doing okay. But if they were coming from behind, let's say they were down 7-10, or they were down 21-17, or whatever, 21-14, whatever it is, they're down.
Right.
Now, how do we recover? How do we stop the things that Ohio State is doing well? Well, the problem is that Ohio State wasn't really doing anything well in the first half. Northwestern took care of business, but Ohio State was able to adjust because they have much more experienced coaches. They have a very, very good quarterback who's going to be he should be a star in the NFL with Justin Fields. And they had the
running back with 300 yards
was on fire. Their running back, Trey Sermon, had 331 yards on 29 carries, 2 touchdowns. He set the all-time record for a running back for a Big Ten championship game.
He seemed like a hot knife just running through butter.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I'm not going to sit here and tell you I watched a bunch of Ohio State football.
Nope.
But from what I knew, Master Teague was the guy. And this guy, Trey Sermon, he's a senior. He came out there on fire and he did the thing, and that was the big key.
All right. What about our other team in South Bend?
Oh, okay.
The Fighting Irish. I think they didn't come out to fight.
So
they put their dukes down.
This is that's really depressing. This is a tale of 2 games, okay? Because in the beginning of the season they fought hard against Clemson. They had to face the backup with
no sunshine.
Uiagalelei, okay, DJ Uiagalelei. Now I practiced that name quite a bit, so don't be clapping over here in the corner. So but so here's the difference.
Sunshine.
Clemson had the advantage of seeing what Notre Dame could bring to the table at their highest strength in the first game.
Agreed.
Notre Dame did not have that chance because they couldn't. You could
only see the backup. Right.
They only saw the backup. So now here's the thing: Notre Dame lost the game 34-10. They really didn't. Clemson just came out on fire. I mean, like going into halftime, you're talking about a 24-3 lead. Notre Dame was just there. You know.
Let's just be honest. They were outclassed.
They were outcoached.
They were outcoached, and at the same time, Clemson was whooping on everybody.
Clemson was, and then they had they had the number 1 pick in the NFL draft there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
At this current juncture,
yes,
is going to end up on the Jags because the stupid Jets went ahead and won that game, and they lost their number 1 overall pick.
How appropriate!
Oh, that's beautiful. So now Trevor Lawrence doesn't have to worry about ending up on the Jets because he can just go over to Jacksonville. But the point being is that Clemson looked good. Clemson, Dabo Swinney, and Trevor Lawrence went out there. They came out there, kicked their butts, and now that everything's all said and done, we're looking at Notre Dame with the number 4 overall. Okay.
So who are they going to play?
They're going to play Alabama.
That's going to be another tough game.
If they beat Alabama, there's a possibility that they play Clemson for a 3rd time for the national championship.
So does that mean you want to wager?
I don't bet money, bro. I ain't got money like that.
No, I will bet you 1 beer.
1 beer?
Oh, yeah, we do a bottle. I mean, you want to do a bottle? Come on.
Look. I mean, I will put my heart out there. If you're trying to bet, whatever insignificant amount, I mean, we can do that. I have no problem with that.
All right.
Because when it comes down to this, like I'm going to bet with my heart. You know what I mean? Like I want Notre Dame to do well. I mean, it's been since 1988 since they won. I have all the championship glasses up there. They are a
I
They have a
think
history of
the
winning
original
championships.
team drank out of those glasses.
Hey, that is fact. I actually checked the DNA, and these are facts. Lou Holt's spittle is in all those. When he's sucking, he sounds like Sylvester the cat, and he sits. Yeah, all his spit is all over those glasses. We got.
I'm surprised you don't have Lou Holt's ashes up there either.
Well, he ain't dead yet, so I mean, it'd be kind of hard to get his ashes. Just for the record, while we're recording, we're watching the very end of this red zone right here, and Scotty Hansen.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What the hell is he wearing?
Scott Hansen looks like he went to the prom in like a Lego world or something like that because he's got like this crazy suit.
Oh my god!
This is the wildest thing I've ever seen. He's got the frills up and down his chest. This is wild.
All right, true Chicago sports fans, it's time to pay some bills. We'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Yeah.
Are you ready for some football?
2 weeks in a row, baby.
Yeah, it's time for some Bears talk. This is 3 and Out.
All right, boys, another week in the books, another W for the Bears.
Ooh, baby.
What do we think about this week's offense, boys?
Dude, they came out on fire. We saw some good things.
We had a running game.
Look, I mean, we're talking about 146 yards on 32 carries. Did you think that since the Bears had Walter Payton or Neil Anderson, did you think we were going to see another running back do anything like this since the Bears seem to run the ball?
I mean, that's supposed to be how it works in Chicago, so I'm not shocked. Like, 3 yards of the cloud of dust football has been our identity for 30 years.
Just based on what I guess Matt Nagy is technically still the coach of the team, but I mean, based on what we've seen with him as the head coach, I mean, this is we can say it's not surprising, but this is surprising.
Very surprising.
I could 100% tell that he's down to just motivating guys in the locker room. Bill Lazor is completely hands-on with his offense. Somebody talk to somebody.
Well, you know what
you mean laser? You mean laser's going pew 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 pew?
There we go,
yes,
baby.
Sir.
That's what it is.
All right, guys. So, what do you guys think about this week's offense? We had a running game. Mitch looked like he rolled out. He was confident throwing the ball, slinging it around.
Montgomery with a ton of rushing yards. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 146 yards. Will, what did we see that was different this week, Will?
Yeah, man. Bill Lazor, full hands-on
Pew pew
all
pew.
the way.
Pew.
Laser
Sounds like
show full effect, man.
Yeah. Sounds like the Star Wars. Pew, 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 pew.
Yes,
They're
sir.
actually hitting
yes,
now.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of stormtroopers getting hit this week.
Exactly.
But yeah, laser show full effect, man. I want to point to some stuff on the O line, and this is Bill Lazor and Castillo working hand in hand.
Yeah, he moved some guys around.
Yeah. You got Mustafa center. You got Whitehair guard. Cody Whitehair was mauling people today. He's a natural left guard. He was only put at center because, of course, waiting for Daniels to come along and things like that.
Yeah.
But when we get Daniels back and you do something with right tackle, you got yourself a solid offensive line going forward.
This is the 5th week in a row where they had a consistent line of all the same starters. And I think what you're doing is you're starting to show some type of cohesion because now for a few weeks in a row now, we're actually seeing an effective and powerful running game where we spent the entire beginning of the season where they either were scared to run the ball or they could not find the hole.
So what looked like to me was that when Nagy's running the offense, it was a pass-first offense, and the scheme was for passing as far as the offensive linemen. So when they ran the game, these guys are like, well, we're just going to stay here, run, maybe take 1 or 2 steps to push the line instead of pushing it 5-10 yards down and making those holes. Now with the laser show, it's like, no, we want you to push everybody back.
Yeah. So Nagy wants to run a lot of spread concepts. And spread requires you to be able to read the entire field.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not Mitch's strong suit. So what Lazor did was like, hey, we're going to implement a little power running with this West Coast spread offense. and simplifies reads, show them one side of the field, show them a linebacker, show them a safety, show them a corner, as opposed to showing them, the full complement of defenders to read. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is Mitchell Trubisky is able to get to his second progression without even having to worry about the whole entire another side of the field to read.
So you're saying that the new acting offensive coordinator is actually putting our quarterback in a position to do the things that he does well? Is that the thing you're telling me?
Yeah, he's doing what the head coach should have done all along.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I do remember from my undergrad, one of my good teachers, what he used to tell me is, how do you eat an elephant? And I would think, and I would think, and I would think. And at the end of the semester, he's like, you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Uh-huh.
You can't eat the whole elephant at once.
Right.
Little by little, you'll get all these pieces, and you'll finish the elephant. So this is what you're doing with Trubisky. Give him a little piece here, a little piece here, and guess what? You'll put it together.
But here's the problem that I have right now.
Yeah.
We got 2 weeks left.
Yep.
And you still got a half an elephant out there.
That's right.
My appetite is not big enough to eat a whole half elephant in 2 games.
Well, that's Bears football.
I don't have enough time. And if you would have told me when we were 5-1, hey, you got an elephant to eat.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That means that I can take a bite every day, get a little bit better, get a little bit better. But we went on a 5.
You're going to bite the elephant's rump.
And that's what it seems like. Instead of going from whatever direction would have been best, for 5 weeks they sat there eating the back end of the elephant, and we just sat here taking all that crap.
Yeah, well, what's going to happen is they're going to play the Packers, and they're going to get all those the horns, the tusk.
Yeah, we're going to get the crap that was left over at the end.
That too.
So now here's the thing that number one frustrates the hell out of me is that I think about the fact that when you're talking about week 3, when they traded out Trubisky for Foles, really what they should have done is after week 3, traded out Nagy as a play caller for Bill Lazor. Number one, it left Mitch alone. Number 2, now we're at a point where, we don't want to have to rely on other teams to try to sneak our way into playoffs. But now we're looking at finally our running game is on point. Our passing game is on point. The defense is doing their job. The special teams is doing their job. Our kicking game is on point. Is this too little or too late? Or really what I'm asking is when we're looking at next year, should we be rooting for them to win out these last 2 games and try to sneak into the playoffs? Or just say, you idiots, lose out the season and get a better draft pick?
I mean, at this point, the difference between the draft picks that you're going to get is so, small. It's not like you're going to be able to get guys like Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. So you definitely, want to get as many wins as you can. You know what I mean?
Right. At this point, the draft picks looks like it's going to be between 13 and 18.
Yeah. That's not a good enough get. You know what I mean? To be throwing games.
No, not at all.
Who do you think they should focus on in the draft next year? Meaning that, okay,
position or player?
Let me dig a little bit deeper here.
Yeah.
Thinking about going into next year.
Yeah.
When you're talking about Mitch, Nagy, and Pace, which one of those would you keep? Would you keep all 3? Would you get rid of all 3? What would be your next move?
This is going to be an interesting listen for all of our fans that listen in. Nagy and Pace can go. You keep Mitch.
Ooh-wee.
That's what you do. You're literally seeing what you have in Mitch Trubisky with just some solid coaching and just some small adjustments. These are the small adjustments that they've made to get success out of Mitchell Trubisky. Like just small adjustments, and the offense is scoring 30. You know what I mean? Like, just simplifying his reads and running the ball, you're scoring 30 points a game.
Will the league adjust to that next year, though?
The league,
because
the league will never be able to adjust to a solid running game and a mobile quarterback. It just won't ever happen.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
this is the thing that frustrates me, and we talked about this when we went live after the show. If the Bears win one more game, okay, they only need one win here. If the Bears win one more game in 3 seasons, Matt Nagy has never had a losing season as a head coach of the Chicago Bears.
That's right.
When we think about what Ryan Pace has done, the biggest knock on Ryan Pace, no matter what you think about him, whether he he's a GM of a team that wins 3 Super Bowls, 10 Super Bowls, whatever it is, the thing you're always going to be stuck on in the back of your head is the fact that he took Trubisky over Watson and he took Trubisky over Mahomes. You can't erase that. Like I said before, you can't put the milk back in the bottle. But overall, yeah, you had some busts. You have Kevin White that didn't look good. Okay,
right.
You had Leonard Floyd that had looked really good in his rookie season. Then he failed, and he went over to the Rams, and now he's doing better. But you also drafted Roquan Smith. You drafted
Tariq Cohen.
You got Tariq Cohen, who would be phenomenal in what they're doing right now.
Right.
We're just talking about that.
Now.
We're looking at the fact that they got rid of Jordan Howard, who is not a player in the NFL, obviously, because he's on a practice squad.
But Montgomery's way better.
And they brought in Montgomery, okay? You look at the fact that he traded for Allen Robinson. He brought in Khalil Mack. He brought in Mooney, okay? You got Eddie Jackson.
Yes.
You gave Kyle Fuller his extension. Overall, a lot of the things that he's done have helped this team be successful. He drafted Roquan Smith, if I didn't mention him yet.
Right.
So he's actually put a lot of pieces in place to help this team become successful. But the biggest knock is always going to be the fact that he took Mitch over the other 2 guys who we know, we're looking at Mahomes and we know we're watching a Hall of Famer play. So is that big black mark going to be so bad that we just say, because when I think about Nagy and Pace and Mitch, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, they're essentially at the same point of their career, whether it's being a GM, head coach, or a quarterback. They're essentially the same guy. So when we finally see them swinging on the right path, because I think Nagy as a coach and a motivator, as long as he understands that he does need to delegate when he does need to delegate, he can be a good head coach overall. I think all 3 of these guys are kind of in the same point of their career where they're like, man, I just need to get over the top of that hill. I'm struggling with the thought of bringing them all 3 back next year because I really want to see what could happen with all 3 of them and that defense, because I don't want to waste the defense. But all 3 of them with Laser at the helm when you're talking about taking control of the offense.
It's just a few things. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them run it back with adding some necessary pieces that to fill some gaps. As long as they know going forward that you're going to let Bill Laser, help in Mitch's development a lot more. Because I think that's a huge thing too. Like, they put Mitch Trubisky directly in Matt Nagy's hands, and it worked when you got Mahomes because he was able to be completely hands-on with a guy who wasn't, expected to come in and start right away. But Mitch Trubisky was given the keys right away. Hey, take this kid and make him, a stud, and he's inexperienced, and you're inexperienced, and we don't have the same, guys with the same skill set and weapons. So,
well, and again, look at who Pat Mahomes had to watch and had mentoring him and guiding him.
Right. He had Alex Smith running the show, and then you had him being mentored by Alex Smith and Andy Reid and that entire coaching staff.
Yeah,
because if you look at Andy Reid's coaching staff, right. You're right. And you look at Andy Reid's coaching tree, it's phenomenal.
And I think Matt Nagy has already proven to us, whether he's in the locker room right now with his club dub, even though they're in Minnesota, they're getting the cold club dub, and they can be dancing and put up the disco balls and do whatever they want. But I think Matt Nagy has proven to us that he does not want Trubisky, and that's tough. Too bad.
Too bad, too sad.
You got to deal with what you're given.
Exactly.
And it is your job as a head coach to put your player in a position to win, and Matt Nagy did not do that as an offensive coordinator. And what he did in the meantime is he wasted 5, 6, 7 weeks of our time when that's the thing that I keep harping back on is because if they would have stayed with Mitch and just switched out the offensive coordinator, we would have been in a much better position. And then I don't have to be sitting here worrying about if the Eagles are going to beat the damn Cardinals to see if we can sneak into the playoffs.
It was just so many mishaps, man, because first of all, you throw Nick Foles into a situation where the offensive line is in complete shambles. He can't move. That was bound to fail, even though Nick Foles can run the offense. You have to surround that. Nick Foles is a perfect storm type of a quarterback. You have to have exceptional offensive line and good skill position players for that guy to be successful. If you don't have that, he's going to see what you get.
Right.
He does know the offense, but that's the only thing he can offer. He knows the offense. Knowing the offense and executing it is two different things. And with Mitchell Trubisky is just unfortunate because, like, Matt Nagy already made his mind up that he wasn't even going to try to do. It was almost sabotage, if you ask me.
He didn't. He did not seem to want to develop.
And
Mitch
it cost us 3 wins. It cost us 3 wins.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it costs more than that because I mean, you're talking about what they went on a 5-game slide, 6-game slide.
6-game slide.
We at least go 500 with Mitch there. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That exactly.
And that puts us in the playoffs.
Oh, no question. You challenging for the division at that point. So it's just unfortunate, man. Like, he made his mind up, and you know we could rewind. We got receipts on ourselves. Like, we didn't like it when he yanked.
Not at all.
He pulled. Hey, you just take that L, and then you go back and fix it, and then you go back and work on what this kid can do, and you grow in that direction. They just in order to like coddle Nagy, it seemed.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Let's not do anything.
It all came down. It all came down to projects.
Yeah, it's like let's not help the quarterback.
I think they proved it to us.
Let's help the coach. And
and I mean that's where my frustration lays is not just about the fact that they wasted 2 months trying to figure out what would have worked, but now what do we do? Do we bring them back? Look, right now we have 2 weeks left.
Yep.
We're looking at 500 for the first time in a long time.
If we win one game.
Right. Well, no, we're at 500. We're at 500 right now. We're 7-7.
We still got 2 games to play. We got to win one more.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we're not going to win that Packer game.
With 2 games left, we're sitting at 500.
Let's sit their gas.
So we're looking at a game where both teams scored in every quarter. So let me get your offensive grade this week.
The offense, to me, I would give it an A-. Because for some reason, we come out in the third quarter and get a little too, I wouldn't say complacent, but we get a little too conservative in third quarter. I feel like that Minnesota defense, that third quarter, you could have really, really blew that game wide open. Especially the way they were able to hold those guys to a couple of field goals in situations where those drives stalled. I think that, third quarter would have been a really good chance to, put the foot on those guys' neck. But
I mean, they went in at halftime up 20-10. And then they came out at halftime. It's 20-27. So I mean, fourth quarter was even though we saw them score a lot in the beginning of the game, going into the fourth, we're sitting here like, man, what's going to happen? And they do have a tendency, especially if they like to play ahead, and then they take their foot off the gas, and then they kind of let Minnesota sneak back in the game a little bit.
Yeah, because what you had going with Mitch was working. Like, just continue to move the pocket, let them scramble, let them throw. They couldn't stop it. And, they kind of make themselves one-dimensional. It's just that the offensive line and David Montgomery himself, they just was like, we're not going to be stopped. You know what I mean? But
no, Monty wasn't messing around today.
Yeah, he was on business today.
All right, well, what do you think? What are your grades for the defense? Now, they've been giving up a lot of points lately, though.
You know what?
What do you grade them?
I got a little more to add about that defense, man. The defense defense gets a C for me today.
Okay.
Ooh-wee.
And, like, the whole thing about Bears football has been, man, if we could just get 21 a game, we kill everybody. You know what I'm saying? So now we're giving you 30, 36, 30, and it's like, oh, well, now we can take our foot off the gas and play bend, don't break football. Like, no, you guys are supposed to be teeing off and mauling people. We should be seeing a ton of pass rush, sacks and turnovers, and we're not getting nothing. We're just getting bend, don't break football.
This was really a running back game. I mean, Dalvin Cook had 24 carries, 132 yards, and we're looking at David Montgomery, probably one of his best games of his career, 32 carries, 146 yards.
I love
so
that.
This was a classic black and blue division, knock the hell out of each other, running game type of game. And that's where your scoring came from. Dalvin Cook with a touchdown, Montgomery with 2 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. I mean, this was just This was a slaughter knocker.
Quote JR.
All right, so
went out. Zoom is zooming again.
Zoom is zooming.
Will, what do you, let's get your coaching grades of today's game.
All right.
We can hear you.
Okay, there we go. We're back. Like Zoom is going crazy
That's
this
all right.
season. Okay. Man.
Give us your coaching grade.
For the coaching, I'll go ahead and I will say this before I get to my coaching grade real quick.
Yeah.
Tackling is horrible in the NFL nowadays, man. Like that's
I hate it.
That's why these games where you got running backs combining for 55 plus carries are still 30-point games because nobody could tackle. Like, come on, man. Those games are supposed to be like 16-13 or something like that, but nobody can tackle anymore. That's why
half of it is these guys they're scared of any helmet-to-helmet contact, any penalties they're going to get, because I mean, like, a lot of times now, like you hit a guy with a strong wind and they're 15 yards and this and that, and then the whole squad is staring at this one dude.
These guys are not wrapping up. They're going. They're trying to do shoulder. They're doing that shoulder tackle.
Yep.
They're going. I'm going to use my shoulder to knock them down.
Yep.
That doesn't work with a good running back.
Yeah,
you're going to get muffed.
Yeah, you're going to get either stiff arm. You're going to get ran through. Like, I feel like the shoulder tackle leads to more helmet-to-helmet hits, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas, firing, like the way I was taught, fire from your hips, use your arms, drive through, see your target. But, yeah, these guys are just doing this shoulder lunge stuff, and a good running back is going to embarrass you doing that stuff, man. You saw that all day on both sides.
There's not a ton of good running backs left in the NFL, though. There's really not, because most teams don't value that running back the way that they used to.
They do that running back by committee now.
Most teams really do.
Backs,
I mean, there's very few like straight up good runners left in the NFL.
Well, you got Elliott, you got Saquon.
Right, but I mean, like, sit there and name me a list of like, oh my God, I have to have that guy. It doesn't exist. Even Alvin Kamara, one of the best assets that he has is he can catch the ball.
Right.
So I mean, like, you're not getting this
not
dude.
A lot of guys cut from
Derrick Henry, that's the guy.
That's your guy, right?
That dude.
But even him, he's not the typical guy. You look at Elliott, and I think the perfect examples are Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley are the two, like, oh my God, these are the greatest running backs of this generation or whatever it is, versus like, David Montgomery and even Leonard Fournette, who looked like he was going to be a world beater and just kind of fizzled out the way that we expected him to go. So, I mean, even to see two teams run that great, it's awesome.
Yeah. Indeed, man. It's just, they devalued the position, man. So, guys started putting the emphasis on versatility instead of fundamentals at the position. Vision, patience, ball security. You know what I mean? They want to do a bunch of things. You know what I mean? And they want to line up in the slot. They want to catch passes out the backfield. All this stuff. So
they want to be featured like the wide receivers.
Man. That's just where we at in the evolution of the game with all this spread offense. But
they're trying to find where they can shine.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. Let's punt it over to next week. What is your prediction against the Jacksonville Jaguars?
The Bears got to have it. Bears are going to come out and just dominate. They should probably win that game. I'll go ahead and say like 27-10. Jacksonville won't be able to do much against a very salty Bears defense that has to have it. And I fully expect the Bears to go out and handle business. I expect another big game out of Montgomery as well.
The Bears are not, or the Jags are not a good team, point blank. Z kept trying to argue with me. Well, they played tight against the Steelers, and they're a garbage team. And when they played the Steelers and when they played the Packers much earlier in the season, they're playing with more pride. Now they're playing to get home and get their bags packed so they can go hang out in the Bahamas.
At this point in the season, they got 2 games left. They might be walking through this game.
Yeah, right. They're just trying to get to the point where they can pack a bag without twisting up a knee and go pick up some girls on the beach, because that's all they got left to do in Jacksonville. They have nothing left to play it for.
Oh yeah, they ready to go fishing, man. It's over for those guys.
Absolutely. That should be it for them.
And
all right, so you said, what was the score again?
They got 27-10
us with a lot and them with not enough.
Awesome. 27-10 Bears, man. And
I'm with that.
I like it a lot.
Even looking ahead, man. Although you shouldn't do that, I think the Packers may even sit some guys against the Bears.
See, I can't. I refuse to do that
17.
because
we can't do that.
I refuse to do that because as soon as I do that,
I think
here comes the stupid Jaguars, and here comes the stupid Jaguars playing hard against the Bears, and we're just sitting here like,
right, because the Jets won today.
The Jets beat the Rams.
Yeah, like you just never know in the NFL, man.
the stupid Jets beat the Rams, and now the Jags, and now you think about what's going to happen with the Jags. Now the Jags have the shot at getting
the
Trevor Lawrence.
Pick, right.
So the Jags are going after Trevor Lawrence. There's no way they're going to try to win that game. That just fell in their lap. There's no way they're going to try to win.
All right, everybody. That's our Bears analyst, Il Brown. Check him out every week for his Bears expertise. And don't forget to check out his podcast, Beat the Block, available on all major platforms. Thanks, Will.
All right, man. Let's call it a week, man. Zoom is not being friendly to us.
Not at all. Not at all.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week, man.
The True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast will return after a brief word from our sponsor.
Noir
Is the first anime manga company to feature characters of color, bringing a level of flair and authenticity to the genre as a whole. With influences ranging from Japanese manga and animation, Western comics, streetwear, hip-hop, and various forms of cinema, Noir has created a unique style that can be appreciated by the masses. Check out noircaesar.com for more information.
Welcome back to True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Yeah.
It's that time again, E.
Uh-oh.
You know what time it is, brother.
Oh, baby.
It's time for Stirring the Pot.
Oh, my goodness. But check it out. We got a special guest with us today.
Yes, we do.
To join us for our Stirring the Pot segment and to talk about what he's got going on and what's going on with some comedy in Chicago. We have Chicago's very own Mikey-O.
That's right. E, usually you got the jokes, but guess what? I brought in a professional
oh, man.
For our Christmas edition.
You brought a ringer?
I brought the ringer, brother.
Oh, man.
That's right. A real comedian, Chicago's own Mikey-O. Welcome to the show. Tell us what you've been up to as far as like now, because usually all in the comedy scene and providing shows and producing shows. How has COVID affected all of this, and what are you up to now?
Well, obviously it's affected us because of the venues. Last year we closed the year with 100 shows. Wow. Our average for a year is about 60 to 70. Last year was a phenomenal year. I'm convinced now more than ever. I'm not a very religious person, but I'm convinced now more than ever that was God saying, yo, I'm going to give you a lot of work this year, because next year you're not going to have no work. But
Here's a heads up.
Yeah.
A little heads up.
A little heads up.
I'm going to throw you a little bone this year. Next year you're going to be hurting. But we had an incredible run in New York City. The first Puerto Rican producer in New York City to sell out 34 nights. We had an incredible run on the road. We had just a really, really, really good run. And then all of a sudden, the promise of this year was big. We were supposed to be at the Kennedy Center, which would have made the first Puerto Rican performance from Chicago, produced show from the Kennedy Center from Chicago, which was a big deal. That got unplugged. New York got unplugged. Everything got unplugged, and here we are. So what are we doing now, right? What we're doing now is we're trying to reinvent some things, and we've been a little bit successful. I've been able to sell some concepts, concept developed stuff to a few sponsors, and it's worked out. We just got a couple of days ago a hit from a sponsor that said, yo, we can't give you what we usually give you, but you do a lot of work in the community. Here's some money for the community. So do some stuff for the community. So what that does, man, is I'm able to call some of these schools with sports programs and say to them, yo, we're going to have your fundraiser and the production side is free. All you guys got to do is slap it together on your end.
Well, that's awesome.
So, but those are blessings, right? Because that's not the case for everybody. The second thing that happened to us was that by default, Joe's has a 50-seater rooftop.
Yes, it does.
And so what happened was we hit the lottery because we literally worked all the way till November 1st. Zero COVID incidents. People were just, I was hard on people. I'm like, yo, We're trying to feed waiters and waitresses and busboys and cooks and keep people alive that way. So we did good. My priority and my priority though, really for me, I understood and understand the effects of this and the effects of this crisis on a mental health level to actors and comedians and poets and musicians.
A lot of people are struggling with that right now.
That's right. That's right. Because it's a really big deal. And if you're to my creatives, just you two guys as well, but to my creatives that are watching, you know, we are creating, even if we're sitting still at a coffee shop, you know, you guys, when you guys aren't live right now, I guarantee you, when you guys are sitting somewhere in your car eating a donut, drinking a Dunkin' Donut, you're thinking of the next show.
Yeah,
always.
Right.
As soon as we finish here, we're already on the next one.
Whatever you're doing currently is basically thought of like the thing that already happened, because we've already meetings and things like that.
Yes.
And for those of you who don't know, Mikey's talking about Joe's on Weed Street. That's what we're talking about, the venue that he plays at a lot. So they were lucky because they had an outdoor venue, so they can actually do some shows.
Yeah. We've been there. We've been at Joe's 20 years.
Wow.
And and so it was painful, right, to see servers and busboys, especially, let's just get to the bottom line, especially the kitchen staff.
Yep.
That was painful for me, man, because you know what?
Because they're not getting those stimulus checks.
No, man. And I've been with these people so long that it really hurt me, man, because I was like, whoa, you know, to hear a guy say that he pays for his insulin in cash and now he can't. No, I know.
And you know,
I know.
And that's the thing, is that when it comes to like my own personal standpoint, I mean, like, I'm not by blood Latino, but when I think about it, I mean, like, just looking at me and where I grew up and all of my friends, I mean, our producer is Puerto Rican, my podcast partner is half Mexican and Puerto Rican. I grew up, we literally spent the past 3 weeks talking about tamales versus pasteles. So I mean, like, even though I don't have Puerto Rican blood, I'm a Puerto Rican. I mean, like, you can say
you're honorary. You're
I'm honorary Puerto Rican, and I've been honorary. But when I think about that, is that, you know, sometimes you do have a stigma between Puerto Rican people and Mexican people in Ecuador and things like that.
Yep.
And I think as a people, we have to consider, hey, your kitchen staff is the same as you. You just got a couple different breaks.
Yes.
Your father came at a different time. You know what I mean? Your father got a couple more grades of education, and he was able to put you in a different position. So these people that are working back there, you got to take consideration for them too, regardless of where you come from.
Exactly.
That's right, man. That's exactly right. And you know what, man? You know, the beauty of this is happening. The sadness and the beauty of it is that it is happening to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we would hope that we are going to just going into 2021, where I hope that what we're going to do is look back on this and be like, that was rough, man. Let's move along now. Let's be.
I think the hope is that you'll be able to come out of this year and be stronger as you go.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the biggest thing is, like, you know, everybody goes through tough times, and tough times don't last. People last.
But no, there's
Tough
never
people
really
last.
been a time where, as a culture, as a society, as a planet,
As a country,
as a
yeah,
species,
exactly.
we have not gone through this thing together.
No.
At least our generation. The
Not
last
at
time
all.
we had something this crazy was in the 1920s. So we took a 100-year break from the Spanish flu, and now we got this thing. And you got half the people saying it's fake, half the people saying, you know.
I think the people 100 years ago were a little bit smarter because everybody's wearing masks.
That's exactly it.
So, Mikey, before we really go into like what you have upcoming next year, tell us about like how you got started and where your love for comedy came from.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I've been
aside from Freddie Prinze.
Yeah, Freddie Prinze. So that album changed my life. You know, Freddie Prinze, for those of you who are watching, especially the Latino brothers and sisters, and those who are fans of comedy, you know, he was the very first. You understand, when you watch late night now, when a comedian does his stuff, then he's allowed to sit in the chair.
Mm-hmm. You're only allowed to sit in the chair if you were good enough. Yes.
If Johnny called you over, then you were something.
Yeah, exactly right. But Freddie Prinze was the very first person he called over. And that conversation between him and Freddie got such high ratings that the producers were like, yo, do that again next week. He was the first one. He was also the first Puerto Rican to perform comedy in the White House, Jimmy Carter's inauguration, right? So a lot of first, I mean, and actually, you know, the whole thing with Johnny Carson, he was just the first comedian, period. It had nothing to do with him being Puerto Rican. So, you know, growing up with that and growing up with Sanford and Son, All in the Family, Chico and the Man, Hogan's Heroes, Gilligan's Island.
Definitely.
Those were all shows that, growing up, I was like glued to. And I try to recreate that just try to recreate that as far as,
try
making
to hold on to that spirit as you keep going.
Yeah. And getting slapped around the house by my sisters for, calling my sisters, remember that Fred Sanford would be like,
Big dummy.
Big dummy, big dummy. And,
Right.
And Esther, You So Ugly. Remember the You So Uglies with Esther?
Oh my God, those are amazing.
And but again, what happens, right? I loved when he picked on Julio the Puerto Rican. I love that, because I kind of felt identity to that. I mean, I'm hearing my people on TV. It was a weird place to hear them, but I could hear my people on TV. So what happens is, I always was the guy in school that was trying to be like in the drama, in the play, in the auditorium performance, whatever. I was in the color guard. I was the bass drummer in the color guard, and then school came about, and I always again just try to find my place in that, but. There wasn't, even in school back then, there wasn't an opportunity for me to really, because it looked like I was a troublemaker more than I was a guy trying to do, comedy. You know what I'm saying to you? So,
like the class clown.
Yeah. And the thing is, I get that. I get that because as I've been teaching for almost 11 years, and you get those class clowns. Yeah. And I'm like, I was in your shoes at one point, disrupting class, but it was, you're getting attention because the attention of laughter is so addictive.
It feels good.
It's such a rush. Exactly. Give me more.
Let me ask you a question though. Like of aside from Pretty Free, who are your favorite comedians from back in the day or like growing up?
Brilliant writers. You've got it escapes me really quick here. Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield.
So many,
George Carlin.
Yes.
And if we go back, you've got Red Skelton. I was always been a fan of that slapstick vaudevillian style comedy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
No, and that's the thing is that we know all these
cold
guys.
outside. Yeah. I saw two hydrants fighting over a dog. You know what I'm saying to you? I mean, as silly as that
it's just smart writing.
It is very smart writing.
I mean, and I'm a big comedy guy. I'm a big vinyl guy. So I have I have Robin Williams. I have Gilda Radner, Saturday Night Live. I'm a big Saturday Night Live.
You might not have that Robin Williams for much long.
But I mean, I even have I have going back to I have Robert Klein.
Yeah, man.
I have Lenny Bruce.
Yes.
Carlin. I have Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
And that was you want to talk about the Hispanic influence. There there you go right there. Richard Pryor. I go deep. Jonathan Winters, Lily Tomlin.
Yeah, man.
I even have Sammy Davis Jr. does impersonations and all this stuff.
That's
so
gold.
I'm deep in that stuff. So I
you got
appreciate
all the
it all.
good stuff, man, right there. And I again the best sketch and skit comedy ever to me, Carol Burnett Show.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Wow.
I'm with it.
Now I'm talking about the best sketches. All right. And
that was Tim Conway. I mean, this is a great cast.
Forget it.
Mikey, who do you like now? Mikey, who do you watch now? Who do you think is up to that?
Holding that torch.
Holding the torch now. Who's holding it down right now?
Well, holding it down. I mean, look. I mean, I'm a big fan of Bill Burr. I think Bill Burr.
Okay. Yes.
Bill Burr to me. I love everything that Bill Burr does. And it's fun. It's kind of funny because Bill Burr. The best way to understand how much you're going to love and appreciate him is go to a Bill Burr concert. Bill Burr is able to do something that a lot of comedians ain't able to do. And if you go to a Bill Burr concert, check this out. You're going to see the most diverse audience of people that are being spoken about. And nobody.
Well,
and nobody's complaining.
If you go back and listen to a lot of Bill Burr, I remember there was one where he was talking about he was dating a black girl and he went to Harlem or whatever it was, and he was like, I got off on the train and I called her from the train station like, are you going to come pick me up? And in the long run, he ended up marrying a black girl. Now, this is like an Irish redhead, like really pale white guy from Boston. So, I mean, like, he's legit.
Yeah, man. No, he's legit. And his, it's funny because, I crack up to Bill Burr all the time. But one of my favorite bits about what's happening in the world right now is he sees a dude from his high school days, right? And and this is happening right now all the time. It's all around us. He's at Target. He sees a dude from his high school days, and he reaches, he yells over, "Hey, Frank, how you doing? I haven't seen you in such a long time." And Frank says, "You want to know how I'm doing? I'll tell you how I'm doing. All right, I'll tell you how I'm doing. The economy's bad." Da, 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 da. And it's so funny because that is like, today, listen to this, man. Today, I said, I need to pay these bills. But today, I said to these people at this contest that I was judging, I'm like, yo, man, we need to be cool with who wins and who loses, because last year if somebody won something or lost, they'd be like, okay, I lost. But this year we might get beat up or something. People are fired up, right? So you know what I'm saying? But Bill Burr, Cedric the Entertainer, for me, hits home. I am okay. Of course, Chappelle all the way.
Chappelle, yes.
Is there any young cats that you're really like impressed with what they're doing right now?
Yeah, man. There's a kid out of New York City. Well, first of all, locally, Joey Villagomez is on fire. Okay.
We need to have him on soon. You
got to have him on. And Joey is he knows his sports, but he's on fire. Number one. Number two is that he did Bill Burr's show. For me, as a local producer, to see one of the guys from my show work with somebody I love and admire like Bill Burr was a really big accomplishment, although I didn't do nothing but turn the TV on, because I kind of felt like I'm glad that marriage, it's like when you see two good people married, you're like, yo, man, I'm glad that happened.
You look down
Abi Sanchez, and Abi Sanchez last week just won the HBO Latino stand-up. He's from Chicago.
Wow,
nice.
Yeah, but there's a kid out of Los Angeles that next time I book him here, I'll invite you guys out. His name is Cooch, and he happens to be a DJ. So his stand-up comedy name is DJ Cooch. You probably never heard of him. Yeah, and you probably never heard of him. But whenever I book the guy, he sells out.
I mean, it's a great name just on basis.
Yeah. DJ Cooch. And his stuff, man, is just brilliant because, you say you're a teacher. I wanted to tell you this really quick.
Yes.
At least twice or three times a year, a teacher will reach out to me and say, yo, man, do you do comedy workshops? And why? I got a kid in my class. I'm like, send him my way. And here's a credit to the teachers. The teachers are usually right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you were right. This kid is funny.
If you can think on your feet, I mean, it makes a big difference.
If there's a kid that can crack me up, and because I'm usually like stern face, I'm very strict. If a kid can break my smile, oh, you're gold. I don't care what you do the rest of the year.
You're getting a good grade, son.
You're getting a C+ the rest of the year. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
you're good to me.
Guaranteed.
I wanted to ask you one thing, and then we'll wrap this up pretty soon.
Sure.
But I wanted to ask you about your experience with La Habana Madrid.
Yeah, man.
You're acting in that.
Yeah, that is something that I'm glad I did. At the time that I did it, it was a really emotional time for me. My dad had passed away, and I got to play somebody that was my dad's friend.
Oh, wow.
And so, it was somebody that my dad looked up to. So my character, Tony Quintana, was basically he was like you. He was like we are now. He had a radio show. He had a TV show. He had a newspaper. which would today, be called a blog, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
He had a record shop. So he was like you guys are, like we are right now. He was just a guy that wanted to be the voice of the community. And in 19, I got to play that. And I'll always be grateful to the director and the writer, Sandra Delgado, who was the writer.
Yes.
Who's amazing, because I got to play. And guess what? I got to play that character. The play takes place in 1966 on Belmont in Sheffield.
Yes,
and
it does.
I grew up on Belmont in Halsted.
So
it was phenomenal, man. But you think you know how to dance?
No, those people know how to dance. I was there. I watched you.
Until they stick you in a room. Yeah. Until they stick you in a room with wonderfully choreographed theater majors.
You realize you don't know nothing.
And then you're like, yo, man, just give me the small parts, baby. Give me the small parts.
Give me 4 steps.
Yeah.
Hey, Mikey.
Yeah.
Mikey, before we let you go, why don't you tell us what you got going on?
Well, right now, man, here's what's happening. We are blessed to have received this money a few days ago. So what we did, and I hope you guys that are watching, if you want to help in any way, listening, if you want to help in any way, reach out to me. But what we're going to do is one of the things, the first thing I did was I got on the phone with some people. And what I want to do on Inauguration Day, on the actual Inauguration Day, I want to treat 30 dreamers, 30 undocumented students to lunch while we watch the inauguration.
Wow.
That to me
amazing.
is a really big deal. So that is the first thing we're doing. We're doing La Casa Norte's fundraiser on Valentine's. We're doing a live show for La Casa Norte. What do? They are very instrumental in keeping homeless teens off the street, safe and healthy.
Oh, wow.
And so the beautiful thing about it is, man, is that the blessings have come my way for us comedians, for communities. And now that I know that you guys are around, by the way, you guys are going to have a very busy 2021. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, I'm telling you, now that I know you guys are around, I want to tell you 70% of my shows are sports programs.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry. 70% of my fundraisers are for sports programs. Okay.
That's fantastic.
So you guys are going to be very busy next year.
Love it.
No, seriously. We'll talk about that later.
We won't argue. We won't argue about it.
Yeah. No, because
we can't wait. I'll tell you, to be honest, with me personally, one of the things when we first started the show, we were just analyzing what we were seeing, and it was in the middle of a pandemic, so we're just analyzing flashbacks essentially of shows that are games and teams that we already witnessed. So as we've gone along, we're one of the things that we would like to do in the next couple of years is not only focus on like community leaders as far as like what they're doing with programs in Chicago, leaders that are helping to mentor young kids so they can develop not only their sports career but like what they're going to do beyond that, but also talk about some of our favorite teams from the past. So this will be a great thing for us to join up with in the really deep into
we would love to come out and talk to them, especially me being a teacher. I'm so used to that. I've also been athletic director, coach. So like I know Eddie's also coaches softball for the girls. I've coached high school and elementary school sports and actually directed them. So I've been on all aspects of sports, so I do not mind being part of the community and helping out.
No, not at all. And here's the thing, just so you guys both went to Lane on June 9th. Yes. So June 9th, I am doing the Lane virtual comedy show.
Awesome.
I'm producing that.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm producing that.
Let me know how we can help. I'll be there.
Let me tell you guys really quick if I can. Let me tell you my 3 Joe's sports stories. You ready?
Sure. Okay.
Now, the comedians all know that I don't know nothing about sports. They all know that. Okay?
This is our one and only non-sports segment, people.
Yeah. They're all over me about it, right? They they pick on me about it. But here's what I want you to know. Number one, the night that the Chicago Blackhawks won, the night that they won, that they arrived, that they won, their very first stop was Joe's on weed. And if you go to
I saw the YouTube video.
You saw the YouTube video, right?
That's right.
So if you go to Mikey-O, Chicago Bulls, you'll see that when the comedian, when they come up on stage, I hand the comedian the Stanley Cup and I whisper in the comedian's ear, "Don't make me talk." Because it was my turn to talk. And I'm like, yo, I don't even know these brothers' names. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's story number one. Story number two is that the Pittsburgh Steelers, 11 players from the Pittsburgh Steelers were stranded in Chicago. And they had a connection to the owner at Joe's. So they were hanging out at Joe's until their next flight was going to leave. Nice. And what are the chances that there's a football player on the Pittsburgh Steelers and his name was Willie Colon?
Yes, Willie Colon. Yeah, the Steelers, right.
Yeah. So when you're Puerto Rican and you listen to Willie Colon is a salsero.
Salsero, right.
I walk in and they tell me Willie Colon is here. And I'm like, what? Willie Colon is here? And I'm literally walking around looking for Willie Colon. And I see this table with these massive, athletes. And I'm like, and they're like, no, you dummy, Willie Colon from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm like, oh. So I introduce him to the audience, and the audience goes nuts, right?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Nuts. And then the third story is that somebody comes up to me and whispers, yo, man, place is packed, 300 people, typical night, one of the bigger shows. And somebody says, yo, man, when you get a moment, send Frank Thomas a shout out.
Whoa.
So I'm like, all right, you got it. So what do? I go, it's his birthday. So what do? And a huge shout out, ladies and gentlemen, to Frank Thomas. Happy birthday, Frank Thomas. All right, let's get this show going. And then I thought to myself at that moment, you dumb ass. It's Frank Thomas, the baseball player. I thought it was just some random Frank Thomas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was crazy. So anyway.
All right, Mikey, we're going to let you go. Thank you for your time. Where can our fans reach you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Mikey-O Show, Mikey-O Show on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Mikey-O Show, Mike Oquendo. Awesome. And, follow me and, love to hear from you. Would love to see you in the audience in the near future. I want to thank you guys both. I want to tell you how proud I am.
Absolutely, brother.
How proud I am to see you both behind those microphones. I wish you all the best.
Hey, listen, we really appreciate you taking up the time. We absolutely love having Chicago people. Yes. Last week we have Gabe from B96, who we actually went to high school with.
Right.
So when we're talking about not only people that are in our own community, people that are stars within our community, Latino people that can come on and tell us about their story and tell us about their influences, we appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your schedule to come out and just talk to a couple of knuckleheads over here.
I appreciate you guys, man. God bless.
Thank you. Right, and keep doing those food reviews because I need new places to go, man.
Absolutely, man. Well, this is what I'm saying, man. As soon as we can, the three of us, right?
Yes.
So I think the three of us need to do, right, is we need to pick what is the number one food you eat when you are watching a game, any game.
Yeah.
And it's wings, right? So we need to do the true Chicago sports fan wing review.
So here's the thing:
I'm down.
We can absolutely do that. Before we completely let you go, let me ask you a question though, because you're Puerto Rican, okay? So we've been doing this whole thing. So we do this thing called Stirring the Pot every week, and basically what it is, it's an either-or question about food. We've done the whole thing about like ketchup or no. We did so because we're in the Christmas season. We were talking about eggnog, yes or no. We both said no because it's terrible.
Yeah.
But the thing that we've been talking about for the past 2 weeks already is pasteles versus tamales. And last week we had a taste test of some food that Big-Z brought in.
Yeah.
And the first week before we had our taste test, we both said tamales. Last week we did it again, and we had Gabe from B96. We posed him that question, and he said pasteles, of course, because he was like, no, this is, even our producer, like he went he went in so hard on us when we both said tamales. He was like, I'm not even doing the show, this and that. So now
he wanted to quit the show.
now that we have another Puerto Rican cat on the show, I'm gonna pose it to you.
There you go.
Stirring the pot. Pasteles or tamales?
Yeah, man. Wow. So I'm going to go with pasteles.
I knew it. I knew it.
De yuca. Hold up. I'm going to hook you
Okay,
guys
the
up.
yuca.
Pasteles de yuca con pollo is my new thing.
Wow.
Okay, we need to have some of those.
No,
I think we need to do another taste test.
Another taste test.
Listen, I'm gonna have them sent to you guys, and you guys can enjoy them over the next week, and then you guys can figure out. But that's my new thing.
Beautiful.
Pasteles. Let me leave you with this. Pasteles is something that's interesting, right? Pasteles in Puerto Rico. I'll send you the article in case anybody wants to challenge us. Pasteles in Puerto Rico were the food of the la gente del campo, the people from the country, the people. And so what happens with pasteles is it's like it was looked upon by other Puerto Ricans, the elite, whoever that was, the elite Puerto Ricans, as that's the food for those people,
for the poor, right?
And these people that were rich, allegedly, people with money, they decided they're going to put raisins in the pasteles.
Ew!
What the heck?
So
are you sure?
Raisins?
Yeah.
So, hey, they put raisins in the pasteles and the potato salad. What's going on here?
And supposedly it
The only place raisins belong are in budin. That's it.
That's exactly right.
Not in no damn pasteles.
You're
Sorry,
right,
Charlie.
I agree with you 100%. But supposedly it raised their
status.
Their status to be, superior. So you know what I mean? And why I tell you this is this, because somebody had made a reference and they said, "Ese es un puertorriqueño de pasas." And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Not to me, but to a reporter on TV. And I'm like, I don't know what pastel de puertorriqueño de pasas mean. Yeah, put raisins in his pasteles because he thinks he's above the other Puerto Ricans.
Oh wow!
I'm putting that nugget in my vocabulary. Oh yeah, that's crazy.
I'm gonna send you the article, man, guys.
Yes,
love
please do. All right, thank you. This is Mikey-O joining a True Chicago Sports Fans podcast. Thank you.
Absolutely appreciate you, Mikey.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, y'all, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, remember to give us a review and 5 stars on your listening app of choice. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you more content as we go live on our Facebook after every Bears game. We love to interact with our fans, so feel free to drop us a line. A big thank you to our sponsors, Noir, Ceasar, Villain Radio Studios, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to check out gritclothingco.com and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. Shout out to Ronesh and shout out to our super producer, Jay Soto.
Super producer.
Want to start a podcast or have your show sound as clean as ours? You can find everything you need at jsotomedia.com. Don't forget to check us out on social media. You can find us at True Chi Fans on Twitter, where we are currently running our Ultimate Sitcom Tournament. Go ahead, go over there and vote for your favorite sitcom over the past, we got about 70 years worth of sitcoms?
Jesus.
There's so many, but go ahead and check it out and follow us every week, and you will soon see our champion crowned. Don't forget to check out our page on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and reach out to us on our email. We want to hear from you. Reach us at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out the All Net podcast with Mike, Logic, and Ideal. Brand new episodes out every other Monday, coinciding with the NBA season. I know they're excited about some Bulls basketball. All right, y'all. For Big Z, this is E-Roc. We'll see you next week for episode 25. Until then, be good to each other.
For the love of sports.
Yeah.
Super producer.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah, all the hoes.
A few moments later.
You have a lot of incest.
That's real.
Shut your mouth.
Lover boy.
Nature versus nurture, Lodge. Nature always wins.
I think he's on steroids.
Hasta luego, amigos.
Show's over.